Okay, so this is something that's in factored form. These are its factors because something times something makes factors. Something really simple, 5 times 4 equals 20, that's factored form also. But this is factored that involves variables. All right, but to be good at this kind of factoring, I know we're going to get to this. I need to make sure you can plain old-fashioned multiply. Now, if this was, let's make it a 4 here, just to make your life a little easier. This 4 would get times by both things. Do you remember doing this?
No.
We did. We had a unit on this before. You're supposed to be over there.
4x, right?
Can grab your iPad. You sit over there. You don't sit over here. Okay. And this x has to be times by both things. That is a critical skill for you right now to practice. So I'm going to hand out some scratch paper, and we're going to practice that. All right. So to start with, we're just multiplying this guy out. I'll pause for a minute while you try that. All right. So I got asked a good question. I'm going to put it on the recording here. I said, why are we doing this again? Because this is how you check and see if you factored something right. You multiply it all the way out. Do you know how to do this?
I do. Don't know.
Okay. If you haven't already written them down, try this. And I'm going to, oh, good. Okay, so you're just not sure if you're right? Is that what you're saying? Okay. Why don't you tell what you think we should do? Multiply the 4 out first.
4x, right?
4x.
4 and 2 is 8, right?
Mm-hmm. Keep going.
And the x and the 2, 2x.
Yes, the x and the 2 makes 2x. And then how about the x and the x?
4.
Nope. X and the x makes x squared.
Yeah. I just did
There it is. Yeah, you were fine except you forgot the x and the x one. The x times the x made x squared. And now I'm going to rewrite it in order. I don't know if you remember this, but it was the degree is like how powerful they are. And I was saying that the generals and stuff always come first, and then the guys who have lower degree come next. 4x and the 2x make 6x.
Yeah, I got that.
And then the 8 is last. There is your answer. Okay, cool. Who else had those 3 parts? X squared, 6x, and 8. All right, so I got 3 people. Oxygen must be better over here. Okay, good. 4 people. All right. Now, I want you to do another one just like that. Just a quick. There's always going to be 4 parts, and you just add the 4 parts together correctly, and you'll get 3 parts. Well, let's see if we can do this one. Well, it's going to be a lot like that last one. X minus 4, x plus 2. Do all 4 parts of this thing. Now, I used to only teach it with first, outside, inside, last, but I think that was more confusing. So now I'm just teaching you guys with multiply out all 4 parts of it. Yeah, this is a funny looking 4, but it's a 4. 4. Okay, I'll pause for a second while you try it. All right, so you go this times this and this times that, and you should have got negative 4x. I know somebody forgot that negative.
No.
And then negative 8, right?
Yeah.
And then an x and the x makes x squared, and that's a positive x squared. And then the x and the 2 makes 2x. Those are your 4 parts. This and this go together. Now, some of you have that as your weakness. You really have trouble on these where you're trying to add the ones that are like terms, and you get confused on is it minus, is it plus. Well, this one's, the bigger one's negative, so the negative team's going to win. Negative 2x is what that comes to. And we have a minus 8. And what's at the front, the general? Raise your hand if you had that one right. All right, that's much more people now. That's good. Okay, now do you get what we're doing here is the opposite of factoring. If this was the question, the answer would be factor it into that. That's where we're going to go eventually, is I'll say something like this. Here's x squared plus 3x plus 2, and you have to figure out what the 2 parentheses are. That's factoring. That's where we're headed. And we're still at the level where we aren't ready to do that yet. I'm going to show you this just to show you how I do it. Some of you might learn this a day early because we're not going to do this till tomorrow or the next day, but I'm just kind of previewing. I would go x and x because that makes x squared, right? I would go 1 and 2 because 1 times 2 is 2. And then I would check and see if this actually worked. How would I have to check it? I would do the thing I just did with you. I go this times this and this times that, which would be x plus 2. And I do this times this, that's the x squared. And I do this times this, and that's the 2x. And then I'd put it all together. And I'd have x squared plus 3x plus 2. That is the hard kind of factoring that we're going to get to. The brain research says that when you want to teach somebody something challenging and you just kind of give them a little bit of lead time, your subconscious brain can work on stuff while you're not even thinking about it. So I just put that into your subconscious so that your brain can kind of put that together for the next couple days so that when we actually teach it for real, you'll be good. Yes? What was the answer for the last one? All right, so do you mean the page before this?
Yeah,
All right, here's the page before this. It started as this, and it ended up as this.
do we have another one that x minus 6, x plus 2?
Nope. Now you're just making stuff up.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Anyway, so your actual problems today aren't as hard as what I just showed you. Your only problems are like this. And you factor it like this. And notice there's only one parenthesis. But something goes in front of the parenthesis. If I do expanded form, it goes like this. What do they have in common? X. They both have an X. So the X goes out front. Then, after you take that out, technically you're dividing by it on both parts. You get, that's left, 2x and 3. 2x plus 3.
Nice.
Okay, now the last step in this kind of problem is after you've factored them. If this truly is two things being multiplied and equaling 0, then either this part's 0, x equals 0, or this part's 0, 2x plus 3 equals 0. Those are my two little mini bite-sized equations. By now, since first semester was all about this kind of stuff, hopefully you know, oh, subtract 3 from both sides. And then how do I get that 2 off of there? Divide by 2. And I get x equals negative 3 halves and x equals 0. You have moved up in the world to the big leagues where your equations don't just have one answer. Your equations will almost always have 2 answers. When you move to the next level class, oftentimes your equations will have 3 answers. But you just moved up a notch. In the past, your equations just had 1 answer. Now I got 2. All right, so I want to show you a typical one for today. Would you please write this one down? 3x to the third. Notice that there is xxx buried in that if you were going to talk expanded form. Plus 21x equals 0. Would you please factor it? Equals 0. And then if you're really good at this, solve your 2 mini equations. I'm going to pause while you give that one a try. First, I would probably do expanded form so you can tell what to factor out. If you don't want a parenthesis here, you don't have to have a parenthesis here. You can just put a number. Whatever factored out goes in front. Do you have a question, sir? I don't understand your question, but I think you're saying the 3 pulls out in front. You're right about that. That's what you're saying. There's a 3 in both of them. And split this one up into its expanded form. Pull out whatever's in front. Whatever's in common goes out in front. This is called the GCF. Greatest common factor goes right here. All right, I'm going to pause for a minute, and we'll walk around, and we'll check and see if you're doing this right. Okay, it didn't get around to everybody, but we got to almost everybody. 3xxx plus 7 times 3x. That's one of the most important things is that you can expand it right. Now, what was in common was they both had a 3 and they both had an x. So I put 3x is the GCF. That's like the easiest level thing when our test rolls around. If you can just do that, you got some points, and you might be at a C for a grade if you can find a GCF. Maybe not quite. You'll have to factor a little bit more than that to get a C. But it's not that bad. Once you got this far, it's easy. Because then you take out the stuff, because you're dividing by it, and you have, see what you have left, which is xx, which is x squared, plus a 7. Did anybody get it that far?
Yeah.
All right. All right, 4 of you. All right, now, final answers. 3x equals 0, and x squared plus 7 equals 0. Now, I just could ask you to look at this one and just think. 3 times some mystery number has to equal 0. What does x have to be? 0. 3 times 0 equals 0. Stop. Then, x squared plus 7. I'm going to go subtract 7. And this one is too hard for this class. I gave you one that's called a imaginary answer. I know that seems like I'm making stuff up, but when you square root this, you'd have the square root of negative 7. There's no such thing except using imaginary numbers. Now, if you were in a higher level class than this, I would say x equals plus and minus I root 7. I don't think you're going to be doing that one in here. That's like 2-3 years from now. That's heavy duty. All right. So here's what you would have had to do. Did you get this far?
Yeah.
Could you solve this part equals 0?
Yeah.
By making x equal to 0, this part would be equal 0. Then you'd be good.
Good.
All right. I'm going to do one off the worksheet with you. I'm going to pause for a second while we pull that thing out. So you have in front of you the worksheet called Factoring and Solving Day 1, and here are the ones I want you to do. I want you to, well, actually, let's do it the other way. Here's the ones I want you to cross out. Cross out 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12 are all skips. I'm going to do a bunch of the rest of them with you, and whatever you have left, that's your homework. Okay? You crossed off 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. All right. Let's do number 1 together. I hope that the finding expanded form of this thing should be like, come on, Mr. Server, this is too easy. So, 7, I'm putting a times x in there, plus, and then some of you guys are good at multiply. Come on, stay focused. Look at number 1. Yeah. 7 times what? 7 times 7. Excellent. Now that's expanded form. Now you actually factor it. Mr. T, stop screwing around with that. How do we factor this now? Anybody know? Please, restore my faith in humanity. 7 comes out, and what's left?
7.
I just like to think of it this way. Now what's left? X plus 7. There we go. Good. Whew. That's it. That's number 1. Okay. You guys do number 3 without me. Expand it out. And I'll tell you in a second what the right answer is, but everybody try number 3 right now. For those following along at home, number 3 is 5a squared minus 15, and the directions are to factor it. I'll pause just a second while you... I would do expanded form first. I think it's way easier to factor it that way. Okay. Hopefully you said 5a minus 5 times 3. That's called expanded form. Yeah, you can put a minus 3 times a 5. That would work. But this is important now. 5 is what's in both of them. Just 5. Because there's no a in this one. So a is not a common factor. So 5 is, and it comes out, and then you got to cross it out, because what you're doing really is dividing by 5 here and here, and that's what makes it cancel. But however you understand it, whichever way you do it, it's gone. And what do you have left? A to the second power minus 3 is correct. Raise your hand if you had that one right. Good. My hope for humanity has been restored. All right. Somebody was asking on number 5, and I know why now. They were asking is 7 times 8 actually 56? And it is. Because it's 8ax. That doesn't need to be expanded anymore. It's already as big as it can be. And the 56, 8 times 7 is 56. And then there's an a. The common factor is not 8. It's 8. What? 8a. 8a. I'm pausing. Okay, we're back again. And to finish this one off, there was an 8 and an a that came out. And I hope you can do, come on, it's just scribble things out. You can handle that, right? X minus 7. Good. That is factored form then. All right. Now I'm going to move on to one of the ones that's kind of like more challenging. It's not incredibly hard or anything. But number 13 has already been factored. The cool thing is you don't need to factor it. It already is factored. I can tell because it's a multiply problem. X times x minus 8. And if I was going to do this one, I would think of it as 2 mini equations. X equals 0 and x minus 8 equals 0. And you both can solve those like that. Come on, that's super easy. It may seem complicated because you got to write 2 things, but they're easy. You add 8 and you're done. X equals 0 is already x equals 0. I don't have to do anything to that, right? All right. You should be writing this. This was number 13. Come back with me. All right. So then x equals 8 and x equals 0 are my 2 answers. You just take this part, say equals 0, and this part and say equals 0. That's called the zero product property, as we talked about before. All right, I'm going to do one more. Number 16. Number 16 is, well, it's kind of like, 16 is actually easier than 8. 18 is actually easier than 16. Believe me, you'd rather have me do 16. All right, so 16 is 4b squared minus 16b equals 0. First thing, you split it up. Can you guys do that part? I know you can. Something times something times something, you're expanding it, you know? Yeah, 16 is 4 times 4. That's part of it. Now finish it off.
4
times, you could do, shh, no, he's not wrong. 4 times 1, shh, quiet please. 4 times 1 is not wrong. That's right. 4 times 1 is 4. But then let's split up the b squared. B. Okay. And then the 16 is 4 times 4. That's already done. And then there's a b. There. That's expanded form. All we did is rewrite what we had in expanded form so that you can see that that and that and that and that are what's in common. Those things go out to the front. They all go out to the front here and make the GCF. What is the GCF? 4B. Nice. And after I cross them out, you don't even have to, if you get advanced, you know, if you're an advanced mammal, you can probably do this. That's gone, that's gone, that's gone, that's gone. You can probably do that in your head and say b minus 4 is correct. But then you're still not done. Now you got to make this little equation, that one and that one. They're little baby equations. 4b equals 0 and b minus 4 equals 0. And then you do stuff to both sides and you solve them and you say b is this and b equals that. b equals 4 is one of your answers. All right, that's all the help I'm giving you. The rest of them are your assignment. I will pause. Actually, that's the end of the video for today.